So last night I put up a video that said, I need your help. I need some topic ideas. And thankfully, tons of you reached out. So I'm gonna make a couple long videos here to answer your topics in the best way I know how. And that's just me talking. So one common question that came up is stuff about law school. Let me tell you about my law school history, tell you what I think is important and what's not, and hopefully that hits as many of your questions as I can in this one video. So my law school story starts before law school. I went to Furman University in Greenville, South Carolina, and I didn't know if I wanted to go to law school. But I joined the mock trial team. There might have been a very attractive girl that made me join. I can neither confirm nor deny. So anyway, I joined the mock trial team. It was cool. I'd never done anything like that. My high school didn't have mock trial, and I didn't even know this thing existed. And for better or worse, it's kind of a big deal at Furman. They're really into it. I was never as into it as everyone else, but that's fine. I really liked it, and I was on our national team, and I did really well. It was fun. I was just kind of me, like I am in this video, and people either liked it or didn't. I won some perfect attorney awards, so I got 10s out of 10s, and my response to that was, well, I guess I didn't go far enough to make at least one person mad, but I was really good at it, and it was fun. So of course, if you're good at something like that, the question becomes, are you gonna go to law school? And I said, maybe. So I needed money. I needed money, and I needed a job. So I went and worked for Kaplan, the test prep. And they had a bunch of SAT classes that I could teach, but they didn't have enough LSAT teachers because there's no law school in Greenville, South Carolina. I said, look, if I can test for the LSAT, can I start teaching LSAT classes? My main motivation for getting a really good LSAT score at the time was so I could teach Kaplan classes and make some money, not necessarily to go to law school. So Kaplan put me in a class, taught me how to do it for free. Thank you, Kaplan. And I was getting a high enough score to start teaching LSAT classes. So here I am, a junior in college, and I'm teaching other people to take the LSAT. Well, now it's my turn to take it, right? I need to go and take it so I can get into law school if that's what I want to do. So I go and I take it and I get my scores back, and they were not good. They were really not good. If you ask me now, to this day, I've said this on another video, I'll say it again, I'll say it until I die, I misbubbled. That's the only way that score happens. I misbubbled. So anyway, my score was a very big problem for me. So obviously I took it again. And then I got the score that I expected. The score I'd been getting for a year while I was teaching the LSAT. And the scores were so different. On every application, I had to explain why my scores were so different. And I think the first sentence of that explanation was, on whatever date of my first score, it was what it was. I didn't complain and say I misbubbled, but I did obviously explain what I just told you. I've been teaching Kaplan LSAT classes for a year now. I've taken 50 LSATs that have been timed and scored. The second score represents my abilities better. I hope you all believe that. But I didn't know what law schools were gonna do. Would they throw out the bottom score? Would they not? Would they average them? So I applied pretty much everywhere up the Eastern Seaboard. My parents were still living in New Jersey at the time. I had family in North Carolina. I was in South Carolina. I didn't have a home base. I was willing to go anywhere that would take me and get me a great job. So that gets me to the University of Georgia. I went to a bunch of law schools. I looked at them. I said, this one's great, this one isn't. And then on the last day for law students to put a seat deposit down. A seat deposit's when you pay the school and say, I wanna go here, save my seat.
Can't sit here.
I decided, well, I might as well drive down to Athens and see what it's like. Put a blank check in my car in case I decided to pay the seat deposit. Really, I just thought I was gonna have a good time in Athens that weekend. And I go to the school, I walk around, it's great, the people are great. The downtown is a quarter of a mile away, a short walk. So I said, this is a great place, I'm gonna go here. I ran to my car, wrote the check, ran to admissions and said, I'm now a UGA law student, this is gonna be great. Now, let me pause this story real quick and tell you why that was such a good decision, even if I didn't know it at the time. As someone who didn't have a home base, I was looking for somewhere where I would go to school and then stay in that area. That was important to me. The University of Georgia Law School is now a top 20 law school, and it was somewhere around there when I went there as well. It also feeds into one of the biggest legal markets in the country, Atlanta. Now take a place like DC or New York or Chicago. Tons of law schools feed into those markets. Atlanta, Georgia, it's like the promised land for UGA students. We are the best feeder school into Atlanta. No offense, Emory or Georgia State or Mercer, but it's true. We are the best. So looking back, it was an amazing decision for me to go to the University of Georgia in a really good way to get to Atlanta. I was coming from the best school that feeds there, and I had the best chance, if I got good grades and did all the other stuff, to get a really good job. People ask me, why did you go to Georgia? The answer should have been because it gave me the best chance to get a really good job. So if you're considering law school, what I would tell you is pick a law school that's somewhere where you want to live and will give you access to that job market so you can go get the job that you want. First year curriculum is the same for everyone. You learn about contracts and torts. That's that's what I do. You learn about property, personal jurisdiction. In my first year, I did very well except for one class, and that was criminal law, which I wanted nothing to do with. Thank you, Dean Kurtz, by the way. So I get my grades, and I have this one grade that's not so great. So I went to the professor that taught that class, and I said, what did I do wrong? And he said, looks like you just need a little extra motivation. When you graduate, I want you to tell me that the grade you got in my class was the worst grade you ever got. And I said, I appreciate the motivation. I'd rather get a really good grade, please. And when I graduated and walked across the stage, that professor, who was also a dean, said to me, was I your worst? And I said, yes, you are, and you are the worst. And he laughed and we were good. So it wasn't a mean thing, I promise. I would never disrespect that person. So in the middle of my first year of law school, I'm getting my grades back and I'm trying to apply for jobs, and the world crashes. The world economy crashes. This is December of 2008, and if this predates you, I promise you, people lost jobs. The law students who had jobs promised them coming out of law school, the second and third years, those were rescinded, those were revoked. They lost jobs. There were no first year paid jobs that I knew of. So I was looking for what the heck to do, and I applied everywhere within 250 miles. I sent so many emails. I would spend hours and hours a day looking for how many Furman graduates are there in Asheville, North Carolina? How many people can I find that have a connection to New Jersey that are in Richmond, Virginia? And I did a huge search of anything that I could get some sort of legal experience, because I did know at the time, I was smart enough to recognize having legal experience, given how difficult it was to get, would set me apart. And so I was able to intern in the Tennessee Court of Appeals for a judge, a brand new judge who said, intern? I'd never really thought about it. Sure, you'll work for free. And I said, I will work for free, meaning I'll just take out more loans and work for free. So anyway, I lived in Knoxville, Tennessee for the summer, and I worked there, and then I went back to Athens. When you get back to law school for your second year, that's generally when you do OCIs, on-campus interviews. That's when the larger firms come to campus and they interview people for jobs. And I went through the OCI process and I got a job, and it was very exciting. I was at a firm called Troutman Sanders, which is now Troutman Pepper. They have 1,000 lawyers, one of the largest law firms in the world. And I had that position for the summer after my second year. I was a summer associate, and I worked there. I had a great time. I really enjoyed it, and I got a job offer and I accepted it. I knew at the time that was not what I wanted to do. I knew that. In fact, I went to lunch with a partner there who I'm still very close with. He said, do you want to be a partner here one day? And I was like, no, absolutely not. And he's like, I don't think you should tell anyone that. I was like, oh, you're right. And he goes, but that's okay. I still like you. Come on down. I worked there for 3 or 4 years, something like that. And I represented some of the largest companies in the world. I worked on cool stuff. I'd be watching the news and I'd see a news story and I'd go, oh yeah, I know about that because I was in that hearing the other day. It was really cool, but it wasn't rewarding. And every personal injury lawyer in every video that's ever made or every bio that's ever written for their website says, I represented big companies and then one day I decided to rededicate myself and help the injured people. No, that's not how it happened for me. I said, this is a really big company. I'm never gonna be able to do whatever I wanna do here. I wanna do whatever I wanna do. If you haven't caught on from these videos, I said, I need to go somewhere where I can have control, where I can have independence and autonomy. It's not that I didn't wanna work really hard. I work more now than I ever have, but I wanted to be rewarded by the decisions I made, by the skill I had, and not just I'm breathing and I'm doing work. So I defended a case against a firm that I thought was really good. After that case was over, I got a job there and went and worked for a plaintiff's firm. And while I was there, it was what I thought it would be. It was exciting. It was fun. It was meaningful. I thought I had meaning before when I would help a company save millions of dollars. They'd say, great job, Mike. We really appreciate you. And I was like, this is self-worth. I'm so happy about this, right? And then I hand a check to a grieving mother, and then I realized what self-worth was. So all those web pages that you read or videos that you see where people do the I rededicated myself nonsense, what I'll tell you is I didn't know how great it was to be a personal injury lawyer. I don't think you can until you've done it. I thought my last job was really great. This is head and shoulders above anything I've ever done for work in my life, and that's why I'm sitting at this table talking to you, and that's why I hope this kind of story of where I've been, how I got to where I was going, helps you in some way. If I could go back in time, the advice I would give to myself would be, don't be afraid to try all different things. There is no magic path to law school or becoming a lawyer or whatever job it is that you want one day. If you asked me 20 years ago, would I be here today? I had no idea this job even existed. Approach everything that you can with an open mind, give it a chance. It's easier to find out what you don't like than what you do like. As you go through undergrad, law school, those jobs you get outside of law school, or whatever industry you're in, just start crossing off the things you don't like to do, and that shortens the list of things that you may want to do. I don't know if that's good advice, but that's what I would tell myself.